The moment you allow the corporate sector to donate, whether with transparency or without transparency, I'll come to that a little later, it is inconsistent with the concept of a corporate sector which is in the business of doing business. You have a memorandum of association which tells you what the objects of the corporation are. The shareholders put in their money to ensure that the corporation functions within the framework of the memorandum of association. Now you give the power through an amendment of this nature to allow shareholders' money to be used inconsistent with the memorandum of the association. It's a very serious issue. And without consultation and without the consent of the shareholder. Under which law, and I ask myself this question, can this ever be allowed? I buy shares in a company. It may be listed, it may not be listed.
A large public limited company who makes a donation doesn't give it for charity.
Exactly.
Or for, for
that's why I said capital and influence are Siamese twins. That's why I said that what you're doing in this process is that you are allowing through the electoral bond process to not inform the shareholder as to how his money is going to be spent. Right? And that's a very serious issue because he is invested in the company not for the purposes of donating to X and Y. This is nothing to do with electoral bonds, if you ask me. It is donation to a political party to use the funds as they like. The nomenclature suggests electoral bonds means this is for the purposes of the election. There is nothing in the scheme. There is nothing in the scheme which connects the donation made to the participation in the electoral process. Nothing. It is a means for political parties to be enriched. Why do I say that? I make a donation of 10 crores to a political party through an electoral bond. The political party opens a current account and 10 crores goes into that account. Now that political party can actually give that money to the mainstream media channel and say, you propagate my ideology. Or give a present to somebody. Or do what you want to do with it.
There are no spending requirements.
None, zero. That's the most serious issue. Because you can spend this money any way you like. You can build your offices. You can build your offices all over the country with that money. You can set up a whole internet network throughout the country with that money. You can use advertising campaign for whatever you like with that money. Show your face 20 times a day. And see the nexus. The corporate sector gives money to the political party. The political party and the corporate sector owns a media house. Just look at the nexus. The corporate donor owns the media house. The corporate donor gives it to the political party. The political party uses the media house. No questions asked.
Constitutional argument. Going on some
No.
instances.
I'm not talking of any instance. I'm talking about the scheme. Please do not interfere. I'm talking about the scheme. I'm not talking about any instance. That's the law.
It's criminal.
This is, of course, hopefully it is.
Yeah, of course.
I thought we were sitting before 5 judges. I thought I realized by now it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Got to know about it from you. At 138, the question is, what is the minimum and maximum limit for donation? The minimum amount for donation is 1,000. There is no maximum amount.
138, Mr. Sibal.
Question, Millet, at 31.
31.
Yeah. Just note it, Millet. We Lordship know, you know about it already.
Yeah, that's good.
Now come to 142. 142, question 6. Can a political party use this current account for other operations also? Answer is yes. Next question is 9. Can political party close this current account after the election? The account can be continued for normal banking operations. However, if required, the account can be closed at any time by the political party.
What are you hinting at?
Mullah,
What kind
you
of misuse?
close the account, that's the end of the matter, Mullah.
So you get the money, close the account, but
That's it, and then you spend it the way you want. Well, this is not a scheme for well, I can understand. Well, quite frankly, I can understand the corporate sector being told that we impose a cess like education cess. You impose a cess on the corporate functioning of companies. With that cess, you have capital, and capital you distribute in accordance with the representation in the Lok Sabha. So everybody has the same amount, and the same money can be used for that. What you are doing now is entirely different. You are saying you give me as much money as you want to give me. That Aziz argued, Mullah, that
So your submission is this is not money for electoral participation, but money for
enriching the
political
party.
party,
Yes.
individual party.
It's just enriching the party.
There are no spending requirements.
No,
There's no
what's the-
auditing
no-
requirement as to how the
no
money is
accountability.
utilized, nothing.
No accountability. Absolutely no accountability. In fact, it protects the nature of the scheme protects those who have committed a crime. I'll give you an example. Under the Prevention of Corruption Act, Mullahs, Section 7 of the Prevention of Corruption Act, you give money to a public servant, members of parliament are public servants. Many members of the political party who are in the fray are public servants. Now, as your lordship knows, under Section 7, you can also prosecute a person in anticipation of a favor, not just having granted a favor. So you give a donation, no questions asked, you get a favor, you cannot correlate one with the other, and I can't prosecute you. This is a scheme to protect criminals from being prosecuted. Just read Section 7 with me.
Of the PCI.
Prevention of Corruption Act. This is also true under the PMLA. Because a predicate offense has been committed, it results in proceeds of crime. You'll never get to know. Rather than furthering the rule of law, it stymies it. That's the other Article 14 argument. You'll never know who bribed whom, how much was the bribe for, what quid pro quo was there. You'll never get to know. That there is quid pro quo, Mullahs, is in my first submission. That capital and influence go together. Mullahs, nobody can doubt that proposition, Mullahs. So in effect, through this scheme, you are trying to protect those people. Where the source of the money is, my learned friend has argued, I don't want to repeat anything that he has said. And let's see what is the scheme. If it's less than 2,000 rupees, it's cash. If it's more than 20,000 rupees, the name of the donor has to be given. And if it is electoral bonds, nothing. That's the 3 layers of the scheme. So while the donor's name will be given if it's more than 20,000 rupees, right? And so ordinary, ultimately, let's put it this way. This constitution is for the citizens of this country to participate in the election. The corporate sector is not a voter. The citizen is the voter. The citizen is entitled to contribute. If he gives more than 20,000 rupees, his name will be there. But the corporate sector, who is not a citizen, can donate 10 crores, 100 crores. His name will not be there. What's the rationale for that? I, as a citizen's name, it will have to be disclosed. So, is the corporate sector being granted a privilege over a citizen of this country? that privilege of anonymity. How is he more privileged than a citizen who is at the heart of the Constitution of India? How is he being given a preferential treatment? Why? Because you want to enrich yourself through this scheme. And enrich yourself because you're in power. Whereas the opposition may be in power in a state. They will also enrich themselves. This is not political. Because all business will actually be attracted towards this scheme because this is one way of getting access. I just pardon me, Maharaj, for saying so from personal experience. If people donate, Maharaj, we know who is donated. He will give me a call and say, sir, I want to come over. I will hear him. But if I don't know his name who is donated, Maharaj, I won't listen. How many calls will I answer? So you get access, straight away you get access. And all this anonymity that we're talking about is really not anonymous. Because the person who donates will go and tell him orally that I gave you such and such money. This is the amount I gave you, 100 crores. Only he will know that he gave.
The anonymity would exist only if it was truly fungible.
That's right.
In which case, if it's truly fungible, like a demat account, in which
That's
case, you give it to, say, the election
Then it's
commission,
anonymity.
and then it is, then it becomes anonymous.
That's right. Now it is not. In fact, it is not anonymous if you ask me. That's my submission. Because I have given 100 crores, I know that I bought a bond. My learned friend, Mr. Shant Bhushan said, no, he'd give it to a third person. Doesn't matter. But who is interested in that bond? The person who I bought the bond. So I will go and tell whoever I want to tell that I gave you. So he doesn't have to go to the State Bank of India. Let's talk practical politics. He doesn't have to go to the State Bank of India to find out. Nor does the State Bank of India have to disclose it. The person who gave it will disclose it. Because he knows why he gave it. So what is anonymous about this? This is protecting the rich.
There is another thing.
Yeah.
The issue which we were just discussing on, which perhaps the learned attorney may give us an answer, but since Mr. Sibal is on his leg, we will just put it to him, Mr. Attorney, and Mr. Solicitor, you can also, in your turn, you can answer. Suppose A purchases the bond.
Yes.
A purchases bonds worth X amount, 100 crores.
Yes.
A is only the person who's been put up to purchase the bond because that A has a KYC, etc.
Yes.
A has to only physically hand over the bond to B.
Yes.
Right? Or B gives it to C, who will in turn give it to a political party.
Correct.
Now, B, there is no control over the transaction between A and B.
Yes.
So B can trade on that bond for cash or for whatever other consideration.
Yes.
B acquires that bond.
Yes.
B hands it over to a political party.
Yes.
Or B gives it to C and C hands it over to a political party.
Yes.
The person who has satisfied the requirement of the transaction being through the normal banking channels is A, the purchaser, the ostensible purchaser of the bond.
Correct.
But this does not obviate the fact that the people who are really
Behind it.
Yes. That they have used authorized banking channels.
Yes.
All that they have to do is that the
Get somebody's
it
KYC.
says trading is prohibited.
Yeah.
But there's no way you can prohibit trading in the bond.
Absolutely.
B doesn't have to buy the bond from
No, he
A
doesn't.
through official banking
No,
channels because there's no record of any transactions in the bond. It just goes from hand to hand.
That's right.
because of the curtain, then you cannot be any questions with regard to quid pro quo.
That's right. And then, Maharaj, ultimately, the person who is actually invested in it is the person who will tell the political party. Who's the holder ultimately?
No. In this case, probably they'll know who's the
Could be
purchaser.
B or C.
They'll know the purchaser, but the actual purchaser is A. B.
Exactly.
Whereas in the KYC, etc., A is the one who's.
That's right. Absolutely right. So, Maharaj, it perpetuates.
Also, B may be an aggregator of the bonds.
That also.
By having 10 different people subscribe to 100 different people subscribe to a bonds worth 1 crore each.
That's right. Well, there the human, at least the Indian human mind is ingenious in these matters. We control the economy of the world in many ways. And the RBI raised these concerns repeatedly. And actually, Maharaj, there is a wonderful report of Justice Shah I think at the Law Commission, which actually sets out the practices in all the countries, UK, US, Japan, Philippines, Australia, and Germany. And in all those countries, there is no question of any opacity. Most countries do not allow corporate donations at all. But where they do allow, there is no opacity.